Good afternoon and welcome to Bull Market Stock Show. This is your host, Rian Hobson, and we're doing a bit something different for the last 2 days. That was not yesterday and today, where we actually talk about more about politics. And obviously, yesterday it was a bit of the shortage of food that I actually do see that's going to happen. That is now with all the truck driver strike that is currently happening, and also the main story about the Zimbabweans that might actually be kicked out of South Africa, or the people with a working permit that will be out by the end of this year, and also government that's writing new laws of truck drivers. So that is the one scary part. But today's one is more to do. If you listen to this whole coalition story that is currently happening in South Africa, that is now with Port Elizabeth, Johannesburg, with the coalition governments that is currently happening, or they're gonna negotiate on that. To be honest, that will be a disaster, especially if you look at Port Elizabeth and Johannesburg. Those are the two things that I will basically concentrate on, and then I will go to the broader perspective, which is now the 2024 elections, and that's what's going to happen after that. But this is just my opinion. But for the last few years, nobody can deny me to say that I was wrong when I said we are about to get a depression. Now, things are not actually happening as what I was predicting in 2017, but the thing is, it's painful. It's going slowly, but it's very, very painful how it gets there. I know today it's about the ESCOM story and all of those things. If you was a private ESCOM when it gets to stage 4 or have a total blackout of whatever they will say, then you must be crazy because the writing was on the wall when it gets to ESCOM. Look, the rater on the other side, he is not an engineer. And that is what I said in the first place. The guy is not the engineer. I don't know what the hell he's doing there. He should have not been employed in the first place. But obviously, that happens if you don't have an engineer that is there, and then you have a political party like the ANC that is in charge there. But let me actually put out what I actually do see coming. So the coalition governments that I actually would know in Port Elizabeth, look, Port Elizabeth is already in heavy strains. Water problems, the infrastructure that is crumbling, the town that is actually there. It's just going to be a disaster, and it will be very sad for people because a lot of people who's actually first home own buyers across South Africa, they will actually have to lick their wounds there, because obviously things will not function. That is now in your coalition governments. That is now in Port Elizabeth and in Johannesburg. So that is actually the sad part. There's no way in hell how these coalitions will work. If you know the story of coalitions, what happened in Port Elizabeth and in Johannesburg, then obviously I don't see how the story will rectify itself. It will just be worse. What's ever going to happen is people going to leave Port Elizabeth or leave Johannesburg. I'm just not sure, but definitely there will be any actually happening there. There will be definitely chaos that will erupt on that side. Now the protesters will be non-stop. That is now especially Port Elizabeth and Johannesburg. The thing is the trend of the protesting that is actually more for me of a worrying factor. If you look at the South African history, especially in the democracy, which you look at 1994 and getting onwards, there is actually an upward trend of the violent protest. Not much actually as protest as is protest, but the violence that goes with it. You get a few years back, you get spaza shops that were, excuse me, that were looted. People will say it's xenophobic or whatever the mainstream media was saying. And then now that we are here in 2021, we actually saw what happened in Durban, where literally shops and malls got looted. So if you look at the trends, what is happening, it was first just tires there and there where we protest, and then it gets to schools, and now it got to spaza shops, and after spaza shops is getting to malls. And you can see the violent protest as actually how it actually increased over the years. And that is obviously to do with economic growth. Because if you look in 2002 to 2008, there was actually a decrease when you look at the amount of violent protests that was there, because there was prosperity under the Thabo Mbeki reign. The economy was growing, jobs was created, although political analysts or mainstream media was talking about what they talk about, a jobless growth, which was absolutely nonsense because there was jobs created at that time. But they obviously wants to push their story out, but which is an absolute lie. Now, Will this will we see a recovery anytime soon? I absolutely doubt, because of investments that will not come to South Africa. There's a lot of people who was talking about it, even me myself. I always tell people, don't buy houses, don't buy cars, sit on the fence, send money out of the country. Well, if you listened, you listen. If you didn't listen, that's also your problem. Because obviously, if coalitions doesn't work, your house will get affected because the metro will not function. Now, that is now what we are facing. The metros are not functioning, or the municipalities that are not functioning. And then you have your house there. That also get bombed by value. The value is dropping. You pay a higher interest rates, because interest rates is definitely going to rise now, because of the oil price that go up and food prices that are increasing. So that will definitely happen. We will have your house that will mean absolutely nothing to you, because of your metros that are not basically functioning. And that is all to do with this coalition government. The area, the province that looks the best, actually, or I would say the best house in a bad neighborhood, like if I put South Africa in a bad neighborhood, is basically your Western Cape area, where the DA is still actually heavy in charge on this side. So it literally, you will get a massive problem that will happen outside of the Western Cape. And I'm not sure, will that people move to the Western Cape, and then we will sit with another problem, because then it will actually put up the NT4, actually, for what they call it, actually, a Cape exit that will basically happen in South Africa, because that is actually what they will push. Now, your lacking investments will definitely come in, or I would say it's already happening, where people are not investing in South Africa. Obviously, it will not happen, because there's not efficient electricity. Look, the things for Eskom will just get worse. We can already see that. We're sitting on stage 4, load shedding, 4 hours, we are out of electricity. There's other areas that are out of water. So if you don't have efficient electricity, you don't have basic stuff in your country that functions, don't wish for actually investments. Don't even wish for that, because that will definitely not happen in South Africa. Maybe you will have someone that starts up a spaza shop and all of those things. That's basically it. But if you look for your big investments, that will not happen, because one, the labor laws is a problem, and then you have the basic service that is also one hell of a problem. Then we get to 2024. Now, from here on until 2024, that is where we will see a bit of chaos. Not a bit, quite a lot. Because as things progress, you will have Eskom that is not performing. You will have government going into deeper debt, because I think there's a high possibility that the South African government will actually put more grants through the South African people, because they are getting desperate now and they need the votes. So they will put more out, or I would say more grants out, actually, for South Africans that are in need. Excuse me. Come to 2024, prices will definitely increase, because you have inflation that will shoot to the roof. Eggs will go up. Rand will get squeezed down because of our debt. The Eskom will just continue with their load shedding. And then when you get to 2024, that is where things will literally be out of hand. The things will get a bit very messy until we get to 2024. And that is where the ANC will definitely be below 50%, maybe around 40%, like that. And then you have the prospect of where the ANC and the EFF maybe could actually be in coalition with each other. If that happens, then obviously you have your land expropriation story that will happen, and that is where things can get quickly out of control. And I think obviously the EFF will definitely eat the ANC for lunch, because they will just actually, that old people are basically done, they are dusted. So the ANC will definitely, the EFF will definitely be in charge of the economy, or I would say of the country and the economy. And they will just literally just wipe off the ANC off the face of the earth. Now, that could happen in 2024, where you will get the ANC and the EFF in charge of South Africa as a coalition government, and that is actually where things will definitely get out of control. The thing is, are you basically prepared for what is basically coming? Because look, if you are in denial, that's perfectly fine with me. But shit will definitely hit the fan, or is already hitting the fan. And as I was saying, a lot of people that you have to have investments out of the country. Don't buy a house, don't buy a car, sit on the fence, push money out of the country. That is your best bet. Get your kid the best education possible, because at least you can send him out of the country. That is the best things that you can do. Like your companies that are attached to government, for example, living off tenders, those type of things, tenders, corporate governments, or for example, you have a deal with a corporate in South Africa, those business will definitely not fly. If you are rand detached, for example, your business is very, very highly dependent on rands, then basically you are done. If you have fixed assets in South Africa, your pension funds, your houses, those type of things. Honestly, I'm not now gonna talk nonsense to you, but then you are finished. You will definitely be wiped out first. Once you have rand denominated investments, rand denominated or fixed assets in the country, which is your houses, or not say cars, a fixed asset, but your pension funds is in rands, basically everything is in rands, you will get wiped off very quickly. Because to see this country to 2024 and after 2024 in good shape, you must really be out of your bloody mind to say that things look very optimistic for South Africa in the near future. You have to be very honest with yourself as well to say, listen here, you have to make some drastic changes to your life. And it's not that I did not warn you since 2017 about this. I'm just reminding you that things are just getting worse, and it takes time until it gets there. I wish that everything could just sink, and so that we can get over and done with this whole entire thing. But it get dragged on, and that makes it more painful for quite a lot of South Africans. I wish Eskom can just sink, we rebuild it, and just get it over and done with. I wish the economy can just sink, the JSE crashes and everything, just get it over and done with, and that we start to rebuild. But this thing is dragging on and make it more painful. For homeowners and people that bought new houses, I honestly don't know. But I need to be very realistic to you. I've been warning you for a very long time, but that thing will not work out for you. And to see 2024 and beyond, I just see chaos after that. I'm not saying that South Africa will be impossible to live in, but I do see that everybody will work in his own community, actually. People will take actions for their own stuff. For example, look after their own infrastructure, look after their schools, look after their roads, look after their own water, get actually like their own electricity. That is actually how I see how South Africa will function. Because governments will be definitely inefficient to save you, protect you, because they couldn't even help the people in Durban. And that is where people actually stood up for themselves. So, honestly speaking, you have to be very realistic yourself to get some skills for you, to get something done for you in a very constructive way, and basically help yourself of doing other business, at least that is not attached to South Africa. Maybe sell something on the outside, or do investments, or do forex trading, or do stock trading or something, and get good at it so that you can actually do something on the outside. But what I do see is that literally you will have small communities that literally just look after themselves at the end and look after the infrastructure of what happened actually in Durban. That is actually a very good picture if you have to look at things. But as things stands for a country in general, that it doesn't look good at all. And I know with the Eskom thingy that things are literally fall apart there. The government or the Ramaphosa just keep on talking nonsense and just making some wild wishes and having another investment conference, which is now the fourth one or the fifth one, and unemployment is just increasing. It just shows you that this guy lost the plot entirely. And he is maybe a very good charm and all of those things, but he's a terrible president. He's just a good friend that you have in prison. That's it. But other than that, you can't actually bet anything on Ramaphosa and honestly on the ANC as you're going forward. It's really a tough time, and you really have to look in yourself in the mirror to say that you need to make some changes in this. Because once you keep on buying stuff that is unnecessary and you're not looking after your own interest, and especially if you're attached to government, which is a tender or whatever, you will be wiped up very quickly. And as I said, you need to do something outside of the box now to keep you alive. I hope everybody listened to this podcast. And as I know now, a lot of people never took me serious. So you want first the bombs to burst until you realize that. But all the best. And hopefully tomorrow I will talk about the markets because it is the inflation news tomorrow. That's it from my side. Have a lovely day. I will see you guys tomorrow at 1:30. Bye-bye.